They say no good deed goes unpunished, but I never believed it until I let my wife's family move into my house. What started as a temporary favor spiraled into a nightmare of disrespect, betrayal, and outright invasion. Before I knew it, I was locked out of my own home, and the people I trusted most were turning against me. This is the story of how I took back control and how my so-called family learned what happens when you push too far. My name's Mark. I'm 36, been married to my wife, Jenna, for 6 years. For most of that time, I honestly thought we had a solid marriage. We weren't perfect, sure, but we worked hard, respected each other, and had fun. I own a small but successful HVAC business. Built it from the ground up. The house we live in, paid off. No mortgage. No debts. Life was good. Jenna's family was always a little messy, financially speaking. Her parents had never been great with money, and her younger brother, Tyler, was a walking red flag of entitlement. I helped when I could, loaned her dad some money to fix his car once, helped her mom set up a job interview, even paid for Tyler's community college classes when he swore he was turning things around. I didn't love how often they needed help, but I figured, hey, they're family. And family helps family, right? Then came the eviction. They'd been living in a rental house about 30 minutes from us when, apparently, they fell behind on payments for nearly 6 months. Jenna came to me one evening with tears in her eyes and a desperate look on her face. They don't have anywhere else to go, Mark, she said. Just for a few weeks. Until they get back on their feet. Now, I wasn't thrilled about the idea. 3 more adults in our house. That's not a small ask. But I looked at Jenna, and I remembered every time she stood by me when I worked long hours or came home stressed. So I caved. All right, I told her. But this is temporary. A few weeks. That's it. She hugged me and cried. Told me how much she loved me. Called me the best husband ever. If only I knew then what I was really letting in through my front door. The first week was tolerable. Her parents were polite enough, at first. Tyler mostly kept to himself, lounging around with his headphones on, glued to his phone. I gave up my home office so they could have space, moved my work desk into the corner of the living room. Jenna kept thanking me, telling me it was just temporary. But even then, I noticed something small but unsettling. They were way too comfortable. Her dad took over my recliner like it was his throne. Her mom started reorganizing my kitchen, putting my knives and coffee mugs in places I'd never find them. Tyler began leaving dirty dishes everywhere and never once offered to clean up. When I asked him about it, he just shrugged and said, "It's not a big deal, man." I bit my tongue. I told myself it was just stress, just people trying to adjust. But it didn't get better. They weren't looking for jobs. Not seriously. Her mom claimed the market was slow. Her dad said he was waiting to hear back from a few people. Tyler, he started calling himself a freelancer. As far as I could tell, his idea of freelancing was playing video games and yelling into a headset for Twitch streams that had maybe 2 viewers. One night, I brought up the job situation to Jenna. I kept it calm, respectful. They've been here 3 weeks, Jen. I don't see any real effort to move forward. They're just here. Her smile vanished like a light switch had flipped. So what? You want to kick them out onto the street? No, I want them to try. This wasn't supposed to be permanent. Her eyes welled up. They're my family, Mark. Why do you hate them so much? That was the moment I felt something shift. Like I wasn't just fighting for space in my house. I was starting to lose my wife to them, too. By the second month, I didn't recognize my own house anymore. Her dad had installed a flat-screen TV in the living room, a huge one. I never gave permission, never even heard about it until I walked in from work one day and saw it mounted to the wall where my bookshelf used to be. It was just collecting dust, her mom said, like I should thank them for the upgrade. They rearranged the furniture, threw out things without asking, turned my backyard into some kind of hangout spot, complete with beer coolers and folding chairs I didn't own. Tyler hosted game nights for his online friends, blasting music until 2 or 3 a.m. Jenna told me to be patient, that Tyler needs to blow off steam. I was losing my mind. Every time I brought it up with Jenna, she flipped it on me, said I was too uptight, that I should be happy her family finally felt safe. Safe. They weren't acting like house guests. They were acting like owners. Her mom even started answering the door like she lived there. "Welcome to our home," she told a delivery guy once. I was standing right there. Our home. Lady, You didn't pay for the shingles. But the worst part? Jenna changed. She used to defend me. Now, she rolled her eyes when I tried to talk. She'd brush off the things I told her. Once, when I said I wanted my office back, she actually laughed. What do you even need it for? You barely use it. She started spending all her time with her mom, whispering and giggling, like I was some outsider in the life I built for both of us. I couldn't sleep. I started coming home later just to avoid them. The house that was supposed to be my sanctuary, my reward for years of work, was now a squatter camp where I was the one treated like a nuisance. And I was starting to wonder, if this was what my family looked like, what exactly was I still fighting for? It finally boiled over one Thursday night. I'd come home from a 12-hour shift, sweaty, exhausted, and starving. All I wanted was a hot shower and the leftovers I'd been thinking about since lunch. But when I opened the fridge, they were gone. Not just eaten, gone, container and all. I turned to Jenna, who was on the couch scrolling through her phone. Did you see what happened to the pasta I made last night? She didn't even look up. Oh, Mom gave it to Tyler and his girlfriend. They were hungry. Tyler's what? She finally glanced up. His girlfriend. Kinsey. She's staying with us for a few days. A few days? I said, my voice rising. When were you going to tell me? Jenna sighed like I was some child throwing a tantrum. Mark, it's just a few nights. Don't overreact. I walked into the hallway, and sure enough, there she was, sitting on the edge of the guest bed, scrolling TikTok with her shoes on the mattress. Blonde hair, loud voice, bubble gum chewing like she owned the place. She didn't even acknowledge me when I walked past. That night, I asked Tyler, politely at first, how long she was planning to stay. His response, she'll stay as long as we need to. We're kind of looking for a place. Looking where? On Instagram? I shot back. You and your whole circus act have been living rent-free under my roof for 2 months. Enough is enough. Tyler laughed in my face. You don't talk to me like that in my house. I blinked. Your house. Then Kinsey chimed in from behind him. Yeah, you act like we're squatters or something. You should be grateful we're bringing life into this place. It was so boring before. That was it. The dam broke. I don't know who the hell you people think you are, I said, chest heaving. But this is my home. Not a motel. Not your personal playground. If you can't show even an ounce of respect, then get the hell out. Silence. For a moment. Then Jenna came rushing down the hall, eyes wild, voice sharp. Mark, what is wrong with you? You're yelling at my family like they're strangers. I stared at her, stunned. Because they are acting like strangers. Rude, entitled, freeloading strangers. She shook her head. You're just jealous because they actually make this house feel like a home. That line, that one broke something in me. Because if this was her idea of a home, then maybe I didn't belong in it anymore. I should have known things were going to get worse before they got better, but I wasn't prepared for just how fast the line would be crossed. A week after the blow-up, I had to travel 2 days out of town for an emergency HVAC job at a commercial site. It was good money, something I couldn't turn down. I left early in the morning, told Jenna I'd be back Friday evening. When I returned home around 6 p.m. Friday, I tried my key in the front door, and it didn't work. At first, I thought I was just tired. Maybe I was using the wrong key. But after trying all of them on the ring, nothing. I knocked. No one answered. I rang the bell. Still nothing. So I called Jenna. She answered on the second ring, sounding annoyed. Why are you calling me? I'm locked out, I said. What the hell's going on? A pause. Then she said, oh, Tyler changed the locks. We had to. There was a break-in down the street. What? So why didn't you tell me? And who the hell gave him permission to change anything in my house? She sighed. Mark, it's not a big deal. We felt unsafe. He took care of it. I snapped. So now he's in charge of home security too? Click. She hung up. I pounded on the door again. This time, it opened, and there stood Tyler, smirking. Problem? He said, leaning on the frame like he was about to toss out an unwanted guest. You changed my locks without permission, I said through clenched teeth. Give me the damn key. Yeah, about that, he said. We talked it over. We don't think you're in the right headspace right now. It's probably better if you stay somewhere else until you cool off. Then Kinsey walked into view, wearing my hoodie. He's being really aggressive, she told Tyler. I think you should call someone. Give me my damn house back, I growled. And Tyler, smug little punk, had the nerve to say, not your house anymore, bro. It's our home now. I stared at him, trying to understand if this was real life. Then I turned and walked away. I got in my truck, drove to a hotel, and sat in silence, shaking with rage. They'd locked me out of my own house, and my wife let them. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. But I made one very clear decision. This where just got real. The next morning, I was sitting in the hotel lobby with a black coffee and 4 hours of sleep under my belt when I made the call that changed everything. A buddy of mine from high school, Mike, was now a real estate attorney. We hadn't spoken in a while, but I remembered he once told me, "If you ever get into a property mess, I'm your guy." So I called. "Mark," he said. "Damn, it's been years. What's up?" I didn't even sugarcoat it. "I've been locked out of my own house. My wife's family moved in, changed the locks, and now they're acting like they own the place." He didn't laugh, didn't ask if I was joking. Instead, he said, "All right, first things first, whose name is on the deed?" "Mine. Only mine. Bought it 2 years before I even met Jenna." "Good," he said. "Then we've got leverage. You didn't lose your house. You're dealing with trespassers." That word, trespassers. It lit a fire in me. Over the next hour, Mike laid out the plan. First, I'd file a police report about being unlawfully locked out of my own property. Second, he'd help draft an official eviction notice for every single person not on the deed, Jenna included. Yes, even my wife. Because legally, the property was mine, and the way things had unfolded, she had zero standing to override that. Then came the real chess move. We'd file for divorce. But not just any divorce. One that documented marital misconduct, unauthorized occupation, and abuse of marital property. Jenna wasn't just taking their side emotionally. She was aiding in an illegal occupation of my home. Mike said it would give me the upper hand in every negotiation, property division, spousal support, the whole thing. I wasn't smiling, not yet. But for the first time in weeks, I felt something else. Control. I'd been walked over, dismissed, mocked, and pushed aside. Now I was playing offense. 3 days later, I stood across the street from my own house, my lawyer beside me, a sheriff's deputy in uniform next to him. It felt surreal, like I was watching a movie of someone else's life. But this wasn't fiction. This was my war now. And today was the opening volley. Mike had arranged everything. Legally filed eviction notices, emergency injunction paperwork, and a copy of the police report documenting unlawful lockout. All of it was airtight. And now, with official backing, we were serving every single occupant. The deputy knocked. Tyler answered, shirtless, holding a bag of chips like he'd just woken up from a nap on my couch. "Can I help you?" he said, mouth full. "You Tyler Grant?" the deputy asked. Yeah. You've been officially served. You and all unauthorized occupants have 72 hours to vacate the premises." "What the hell?" Tyler blinked, looking between the deputy and Mike. "You can't do this. This is our house." Mike stepped forward, voice cool and clear. "No, it's his house. You've been illegally occupying it. You've got 3 days, or the sheriff will come back with a locksmith and forcibly remove you." Then Jenna appeared behind Tyler, eyes wide with disbelief. "Mark, are you serious right now? This is how you handle things?" "You made it clear you didn't want to handle them with me," I said, keeping my voice calm. "You chose your side. Now you can live with that choice, somewhere else." Kinsey stormed into the doorway next, arms crossed and voice shrill. "This is toxic. You're unhinged. You need therapy, bro." Mike didn't even flinch. He handed Jenna her copy of the notice. "You've got 72 hours, ma'am. I suggest you start packing." I didn't stay long after that. I watched from a distance as chaos unfolded inside the house. Jenna shouting, Tyler throwing his chips, Kinsey waving her phone around like she was recording for TikTok. But me? I got back in my truck. No yelling, no guilt, just the satisfying thud of legal documents hitting the floor of my home, and the clock ticking toward freedom. The next 48 hours were a circus of texts, calls, voicemails, and uninvited visits. It started with Jenna blowing up my phone. First came the angry messages. "I can't believe you would humiliate me like this. You're overreacting. We're family. You're going to regret this, Mark." Then came the guilt trips. "You're throwing away our marriage over a few minor misunderstandings. My parents are old. They have nowhere to go. What are you trying to prove? I loved you. You used to be a good man." I didn't answer. Not once. When that didn't work, the rest of her family tried their hand. Her mom left a voicemail sobbing. We were just trying to make the house more lively. You've always had a cold spirit, Mark. We brought energy and love into your life. Her dad texted me something that ended with, and I'll have you know, a real man doesn't kick people out in the street. Tyler? Oh, he was a gem. He left a message that said, "You'll regret messing with me, man. You'll see." Like I was supposed to be scared of a guy who can't fold a fitted sheet. Then Jenna showed up at my hotel. I saw her through the lobby window, pacing outside with tear-streaked makeup and holding a bag in her hands. I didn't move. She eventually asked the front desk to call up to my room. I told them I wasn't accepting guests. She stood outside for almost 30 minutes. Then she left the bag at the front desk with a note. "I don't know who you are anymore, but if there's still any piece of you that loves me, please talk to me." I opened the bag later. It was full of pictures of us. From vacations, holidays, smiling. I didn't feel anger in that moment. Or hate. I just felt done. You see, there's a part of heartbreak that doesn't crack. It snaps. Clean. Quiet. Final. And that's when you know you're ready to finish what you started. The day before the eviction deadline, I parked a block away from the house. Just sat in my truck and watched from a distance as the hive buzzed in full panic mode. There was a U-Haul in the driveway, too small for the amount of crap they'd piled into my home. But that was their problem now. Tyler was out front arguing with Kinsey about something, pointing at boxes like he'd just discovered manual labor for the first time in his life. Jenna's parents were hauling out bags and furniture, pausing every now and then to glare at each other, or the house. My house. Jenna came outside at one point, looking drained. Hair tied up, sweatshirt hanging off her shoulder, phone clutched in her hand like it might rescue her. She sat down on the porch steps and just stared at the street, like she was waiting for me to pull up, to stop this, to fix it all. But I didn't move, because I wasn't coming to save her anymore. She'd made her choice when she let them disrespect me day after day, turning my home into their personal kingdom. She didn't just let it happen, she defended it. And now, she was watching it fall apart. Around 6 p.m., my lawyer texted me a simple update. Confirmed. They're packing. Deputy confirmed compliance is expected tomorrow. I texted back, "Good. Keep me posted." That night, I celebrated, not with a drink or a party, but with silence. I went back to the hotel, sat by the window, and watched the lights of the city blink like quiet applause. I felt peace for the first time in months. Tomorrow, I was taking back my house. And no one was stopping me. The morning of eviction day was crisp, bright, and quiet, like the world knew justice was about to be served. I met the sheriff's deputy at 9 a.m. sharp. Mike, my lawyer, was already there, clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, looking like the calm before a very satisfying storm. We pulled up in front of the house together. My house. There was a beat of silence before the front door opened. Jenna stepped out first, arms folded tight across her chest. Her face was pale, tired, like someone who hadn't slept all night. I didn't say anything, just looked past her and into the house. It was a mess. Bags, boxes, half-packed stuff still sitting in the living room. Tyler was slouched on the couch, eating cereal straight from the box like nothing was happening. Kinsey was scrolling her phone, sitting on the floor with her back against the wall. She didn't even glance at me. The deputy stepped forward. "You all were notified. It's 9 a.m. Time's up." Tyler stood and puffed out his chest. "You don't have to treat us like criminals, man." "No one's treating you like criminals," Mike said flatly. "This is a legal removal from property you don't own. The time to play house is over." Jenna walked toward me. "Mark, please, don't do this. Not like this." "I warned you," I said, again and again. "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." "You're really going through with the divorce?" she whispered, eyes watering. I nodded. "You're not the person I married. And I'm not the doormat you thought I was." She stepped back like I slapped her. But I didn't feel cold or cruel. I felt clear. Within the next hour, the deputy oversaw the final walkout. Jenna's parents pulled out in their minivan, piled high with clutter. Tyler loaded the last of his things into the back of the U-Haul with Kinsey, who had the nerve to say, "This house always had weird vibes anyway." I laughed. Out loud. Couldn't help it. Once they were gone, the deputy handed me the paperwork. "All done. House is officially yours again." As if it ever wasn't. I stepped inside. The smell was different, like body spray, stale food, and desperation. But I didn't care. The moment I crossed that threshold, I knew. They were gone. And I was home. The house was a wreck. Walls smudged with fingerprints, trash-littered corners, random clothes, and empty bottles everywhere. It looked like a war zone, not just of stuff, but of disrespect. But for the first time in months, I was the one in control. I rolled up my sleeves and started cleaning, room by room, shelf by shelf, taking back my space piece by piece. I found things I didn't even realize were missing. My favorite tools, some sentimental books, even my own set of keys buried under a pile of junk in the guest room. I changed the locks, this time, for good. I installed security cameras around the house, not because I expected trouble, but because I needed peace of mind. Most importantly, I made one rule. This house was mine. Period. No more freeloaders. No more disrespect. No more silent resentments. And that included Jenna. I called her after the cleanup was halfway done. "We need to talk," I said, voice steady. There was a long pause. Then she asked, "About what?" "About us. About respect. About boundaries." Her voice cracked. "Mark, please don't make this harder than it has to be. I'm done being ignored and disrespected," I said. "If we're going to move forward, it's on new terms. Terms that both of us agree to. Or we move on." She didn't answer right away. Sometimes, reclaiming your life means walking away from the ones you love. And sometimes, it means standing firm for the man you've become. 2 weeks later, I sat across from Jenna at the kitchen table, the same kitchen where she'd reorganized my knives. Between us lay a thick envelope, the divorce papers. Her eyes scanned the pages, face pale and tight. For a moment, she didn't say a word. Then, barely above a whisper, "Is this really what you want?" I swallowed hard. "It's what I need." She looked away, biting her lip. "I never meant for things to get this bad." "Neither did I said. "But it's been a long time coming. I tried to be patient, tried to make it work for all of us. But it wasn't just your family disrespecting me. It was you turning your back on me." She wiped her eyes. "They're my family. You don't understand how much they mean to me." I tried to understand. I helped them, more than I should have. But when they started treating me like a guest in my own house, and when you stopped defending me, I had to draw the line. She looked at me then, a flash of something raw and broken in her eyes. "So this is it. It's the end of this chapter. Maybe it's the beginning of a new one for both of us." She nodded slowly and signed the papers. As she stood to leave, she paused at the door. "I hope you find peace, Mark." "Thanks," I said. "I hope you do too." And as she walked out that door for the last time, I realized I finally had mine. The days after the divorce finalization were quiet. Too quiet at first. The house felt huge without their chaos, but it was a good kind of empty. I filled the silence with long walks, working on my business, and fixing up the house in ways I'd neglected for years. I reconnected with old friends I'd drifted away from during all the stress. I even started therapy, because if there was one thing this ordeal taught me, it was that mental health isn't a joke. Slowly, piece by piece, I built myself back up. No more people taking advantage of my kindness. No more silent resentments. No more compromises on my happiness. Most importantly, I learned that sometimes, love means knowing when to let go. Looking back, I realize how blind I was. I thought helping my wife's family was a simple act of kindness. But I didn't see how quickly help turned into entitlement, and how that entitlement poisoned my marriage and my peace. I learned that generosity doesn't mean sacrificing your boundaries. That love doesn't mean letting yourself be disrespected or ignored. And that sometimes, the hardest thing to do is stand up not just for yourself, but for your future. I also learned this. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not necessarily the people who wronged you. I'm not saying everyone who helps family gets burned, but I am saying, don't lose yourself in the process. If you find yourself in a similar situation, my advice is simple. Protect your home, protect your heart, and don't be afraid to ask for help when the weight gets too heavy. Because sometimes, the best revenge is just reclaiming your life. It's been almost a year since the eviction, the divorce, and the chaos that tore my life apart. I'm still living in the same house, the one I fought to reclaim, and it finally feels like home again. I've painted the walls, planted a garden, and even got a dog named Max who somehow knows when I need a friend. I don't hate Jenna or her family anymore. I wish them well, truly. But I've made peace with the fact that sometimes, love isn't enough to keep people in your life. I've learned to set boundaries, to protect what I've built, and most importantly, to respect myself. Life isn't perfect. It's messy, complicated, and sometimes painfully unfair. But now, I'm standing strong, living on my terms, and that's a victory I never take for granted. If you're reading this and feeling trapped, disrespected, or overlooked, know this: you deserve better. You can take back control. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is say, enough. Here's to new beginnings.